in the most mysterious and intriguing book and most relative book of our time. All right, I'm just going to make sure the live stream's going. When you see this, it's going to blow your mind a little bit because it's absolutely fascinating what we're discovering in the book of Revelation. All right, let's check it out. Remember yesterday I told you that going back in time, I told you that going back in time, the book of Revelation does that a lot. It goes back in time and it repeats itself. And when you understand that about the book of Revelation and the Bible in general, you'll be able to read it a lot better. Yesterday, I showed you that the creation account in the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and chapter 2, it kind of does the same thing. It gives you the overview of creation. Second chapter, it goes back and details it a little bit. I showed you in the book of Kings how it did that with King Asa's life, how it said he was dead, and then a few chapters later, it's talking about his life again. But this is common. The book of Revelation is probably the most, the book that does it the most. The book of Revelation does that the most. What am I saying? What I'm saying here is that if you understand chapter 6 of the book of Revelation, 6, on the 6th day, God created man, the mark of the beast, 666. I want you to understand that the 6th chapter, if you understand the 6th chapter as a foundational overview or summary of all the tribulation and wrath that's mentioned in the book of Revelation, if you understand it, it's all compact in one chapter, and then the rest of it from chapters, from that chapter on up to 19 is just going over the details of what chapter 6 just mentioned. All right, and I didn't really want to make this video about that, but we will get into that a little bit more here in a second. I wanted to show you something else here that's going on with that idea. But chapter 16 is the pouring out of the wrath of God. And then we've got chapters 17 and 18, which goes back and tells you what happened in chapter 16. Just like I showed you yesterday with chapter 6 is the overview. And then I showed you how the seventh seal just unfolds a lot of details about the first 6 seals. And this happens throughout the Bible. Let me show you real quickly over here on Revelation chapter 16, real quick. This is the vials of wrath, okay? Revelation chapter 16 is the vials of wrath coming down on the earth. The angels are given the full measure of the wrath of God, and it's poured onto the earth. And guess what? The Christians, the resurrection rapture event's going to take place. It's already going to be over with. What you're seeing right here in the wrath is the 6th seal, right? The 6th seal is the wrath of God being poured out. The first 5 seals, it's not. The 6th seal is the 16th chapter right here. It ties it in perfectly. Now you'll see the first went out and poured out his vial. These red ones, there's the second one. There's the third one. Look all the way down. Here's the 4th, 5th, 6th, and finally the 7th seal. Not seals. These are the bowls. These are the vials of wrath. All of these, look at this. What happens at the end of it? Look right here. Every island fled away. Look, and the mountains were not found. Keep that in mind. Remember what we read in the 6th seal? The same thing. Every island fled away and the mountains were flattened. The islands and mountains were mentioned because that's the end. That's the end, guys. That's the end. Real quickly, I'll go over here and show you. The 6th seal is the end. Now, let's take a look at that over here on this one. I'll show you real quickly that you can see that again right here. Let's take a look at it. This is the seals right here, chapter 6. All 6 seals. You don't have the 7th one mentioned. It's not part of it. It's not part of the big summary. It's not part of the overview. What you have in chapter 6 here is an overview summary of the end. all 6 seals are mentioned. Now look at the 6th seal. Look what happens. Every mountain, look at this. Every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Where? At the 6th seal. Right? The stars of heaven fell unto the earth. Right? And look, heavens departed as a scroll. Heavens departed as a scroll. And every mountain and every island disappeared. That's the same language we have over here. That's the same language we have over here in the vials of wrath. At the last one, every island disappeared, right? And every mountain was not found. That's the end. So what we have is this is going back and telling you what happens in the 6th seal. Revelation 16 is the details about what happens at the 6th seal. Okay, so let's go look at it again. Here's the 6th seal, just this part right here. Just this part right here. Here's the 6th seal, right? The moon became as blood, the stars fell from the sky, heaven departed as a scroll, the mountains and islands are disappeared. This is the 6th seal, right? Here, look what it says. The wrath of God has come. Boom. There's the wrath of God coming in the 6th seal. Except it hasn't happened yet in the book of Revelation. It's going to tell you when it happens. It's going to tell you when it happens. It's not the trumpets. The trumpets are not the wrath of God. We don't see the wrath of God coming. We don't see it announced until the 11th chapter, right? And then we see the wrath being given to the angels in the 15th chapter. And then in the 16th chapter, bada boom, bada bang, they're pouring out the wrath of God. That's this right here. That's the 6th seal. We're not going to be here. You can see the judgment and the elect of God standing before the throne of God in Revelation 15 after the rapture with harps playing music, singing songs, Revelation 15, right? Go read it. We're looking at Revelation 16 because that's where the vials of wrath are poured out while we're having a wedding supper and being judged in heaven. And so this is the 6th seal. We're not going to be here for the 6th seal. Okay, so what happens at the 6th seal? Well, a lot of bad stuff happens at the 6th seal. Let's take a look at it. Here we go with all the vials being poured out. This is some terrible, terrible stuff, by the way. Also, just a real quick mention, 5 of these is just a repeat of the trumpets. Let me lay this down at you. The trumpets, for the most part, is a repeat. I'm sorry, the vials right here, this is the wrath. The vials of wrath is just a repeat of the trumpets, except for 2 of them. Most of the vials are just a repeat of the trumpets. What's the difference? In the trumpets, only a measure of it comes forth, just a little bit, like a third. In the wrath right here, it's 100% of the ocean turns to blood, not a third. 100% of the rivers and streams turn to blood or poison or bitter, not a third. And basically, all the people die except for those who go underground, not a third. In trumpet 6, 1/3 of man dies, not all of them. And so nobody's escaping underground at that time. Here in this is the vials of wrath, okay? There'll be some people that go underground. It tells you right here they go underground at the 6th trumpet. They hide themselves underneath so that they can't be found. I'm not going to get into that right now. But, okay, now why am I telling you this? Today's video is about how Revelation 17, I got them up here. Look at this. Revelation 17, you see this? And the next tab up here is Revelation 18. See how it changes? These 2 tabs is Revelation 17 and 18. And when you're reading about the Babylon has fallen, and it gives you all the details about Babylon falling in Revelation 17 as well, because that's what it is, right? Look what it says in Revelation 17. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials. The wrath has been poured out on the earth. One of those angels comes to John and says, let me show you what happened during that time we poured the wrath out on the earth. So Revelation 17 and Revelation 18 of Babylon falling happens during, you got it, the vials of wrath, which happens during, you got it, the sixth seal. The sixth seal is the vials of wrath being poured out. The sixth seal is the fall of Babylon finally burning up, and the angel's going to show John what happens. And it's the angel that had the vial of wrath. And you know that that happens. It's not like after the sixth seal, then the vials are poured out. That is the vials being poured out. The sixth seal is the vials being poured out. And it's also not like, it's not saying that after these vials are poured out, look, 16, Revelation 16, after these vials are poured out and the islands are flat and the mountains disappear, then all of a sudden Babylon falls. No, it's not chronological. Give me a 7 in the live stream if you understand that Revelation 17 and 18 is giving us details about the fall of Babylon, which happens during the vials of wrath. And the vials of wrath here in 16 is what happens at the sixth seal. So we have an unfolding of events that gives us more and more details as we read more and more into the book. We're finding out how it all ties back together to Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6 and the sixth seal is right here, Revelation 16, the vials of wrath, and Revelation 17 and 18, the fall of Babylon. Those all correspond to each other, guys. They're all related to one another. So now when you're reading through this, you can put the pieces together. Which pieces fit together? Well, Revelation 16 is part of the sixth seal, and Revelation 17 and 18, when the fall of Babylon takes place, look what it says. One of the angels who did this comes to him and says, "Come and I'll show you the judgment of the great whore that sits on many waters." Let me show you the details now of what just happened with these vials being poured out, right? Because remember, the last vial is the end. The last vial, the seventh vial, when the seventh one's poured out, there is nothing else coming. There's no more judgments. There's tribulation's been gone. And so this is when they hide underground and Christ is coming back to set up the kingdom. A few people escape underground, but most everybody's dead. Not just a third of mankind in the sixth trumpet. In the sixth trumpet, the greatest war takes place, only a third. Only a third. Here in the vials of wrath, everybody's dead except for whoever escapes underground. Just a few people will repopulate the earth. So he's saying, come, let me show you what else happened during that time. The fall of Babylon took place, and he gives all the details about the fall of Babylon taking place in Revelation 17 and Revelation 18, right? Those take place during Revelation 16, and Revelation 16 takes place during the sixth seal. Boom! The sixth seal is the end. And remember, before I close this video, that the seventh seal, it's not chronological. It just says, come here, let me show you now. I want to show you more in this last seal, the details about what happened during the first six seals. That includes everything. The trumpets, the Antichrist, the mark of the beast, the image of the beast. You get to see all kinds of different things unfolding. And then the resurrection rapture takes place. And then the wrath of God is poured out. That's all just unfolding in the seventh seal. When you understand that, you'll understand that the big picture view of Revelation chapter 6, all six seals are explained real quickly in a summary form, in an overview form, and then starting in the next chapters all the way up to 19, we get to see exactly what happens during all of these seals. Now we'll get back into more details about this tomorrow probably, because I want you to understand that right here in the fifth seal, where's the Antichrist at? He's not mentioned yet, right? But here in the fifth seal, we know that our brothers and sisters are being killed for their faith. Who do you think's doing that? Who do you think's doing that in the fifth seal? Now, I want to make the video tomorrow about the fifth seal and get into the details about the trumpets tomorrow and show you how everything fits together. I don't want to spoil that, but guys, I appreciate you guys supporting this ministry. Thank you very much. And I love you guys. I hope that you're blessed by this channel. Thanks for your donations. Don't forget, we're fasting this week. At some point, I'm fasting intermittently. I'm fasting with certain different kinds of fast this week. It's not, for me, it's not a straight 7-day fast. But, you know, I'm fasting, guys. We're calling everybody to fast because we need help spiritually. We need help to overcome deception, the lustful nature, obsessive compulsive disorders, addictions. We can break the power of Satan in our lives and in our mind by fasting. No food, no water, pick a day, skip a meal, go a couple days, whatever. But I love you guys, and it's good to see you guys out there. I'm not going to mention any names right here because I'm going to close this video out, but you guys are awesome. I love you guys. Thanks for watching these videos with me. I hope these videos help you understand the book of Revelation more. And again, tomorrow we're going to go even deeper, all right? God bless you guys. Take care, everybody.